When Dorinda asked me if I could tape a few words, I was honored. And then immediately I was at a loss. I thought back over the hundreds of speeches I've given in my life, and I realized that none of them are as daunting as what I'm about to attempt with you. It's hard to put into words the value and beauty and worth of a man who taught us all how to find their voices. Even people who were your peers, you taught and led by example how to find their voices. There's nowhere in this world I would rather be right now than there to hug Dorinda and Chris and to see old classmates and kids I've watched come up through Bethlehem and other people who remember your laugh, your love, your heart, and your stories. It was amazing to me in the days after your death, the sheer volume of people who expressed their genuine sense of loss and just amazement at the life you had led, and more importantly, the life you had led them to. It is nearly impossible to actively and accurately estimate how many lives you have changed for the better and touched and just helped. From your earliest days as a teacher, teaching kids to love words, to love language, and to see the beauty in being able to express themselves in a way that is articulate and resonates with other people, to then your ability to lead high school productions and teach kids the beauty of a great show and being another character and immersing yourself in a world that maybe you've never gotten to dream of, and allowing kids to find their hearts and their passion at a time when not being an athlete wasn't the most popular thing to be. And then in the late 80s and early 90s, when you started your legacy of speech, and you took a ragtag bunch of kids and put them in some blue and white polos, or rugby shirts actually, and took them across the state and eventually across the country, and showed that kids from Bardstown, Kentucky, and the surrounding areas had voices and had important things to say, and that they could compete with kids from New York and Los Angeles and other major metropolitan areas. To list your accolades and what you achieved goes without saying, but what most of the people here remember you for is your laugh. It's times they spent with you in Europe. It's times that they went to your classroom as a sense of refuge. And I don't think many people say that about their teachers, that their classrooms were places of refuge, where they mattered, where their thoughts were never too small or too dumb or too little. They just mattered. And finally, with your speech teams, I will never forget van rides with you and long car trips with you, and you closing your eyes and holding your breath as you drove over bridges, which was ridiculous and dangerous, but whatever, we made it. There really aren't words to describe how much I love you, old man. And there certainly aren't words that are appropriate for me to share in a Methodist church that describe you accurately in the life and the beauty and the joy that you brought into this world. I've thought about you so much this week. I think we all have. And I'm not going to lie, there have been a ton of tears, but it is nearly impossible to start telling Lasure stories and not eventually could succumb to laughter. And I hope that's the legacy that you realize that you left for most of us. It's just laughter and joy and the beauty of making kids realize that they matter. I can just say, I know we all have our own stories. I know we all could eulogize this man and tell stories that would make us all laugh and cry. But I can only speak for myself when I say, I love my parents, but I always thought of you as a second dad and one of my parents. There was nothing I wanted more than to make you proud and to do it to your standards, which were unwavering and never allowed for excuses, and always demanded people to be their best, because eventually people believe that they could be their best. And you brought out the best in us. I don't think there's a single person in this room who can't say without lying that you didn't challenge us to be our best at a time when we would have settled otherwise. And that's beautiful. That's the definition of an educator, and a mentor, and a friend. Dorinda, Chris, other family and friends, former students, former teammates, my heart is right there with you. I've never seen someone universally greeted like you, Lasure. I'm always reminded of that end scene in Mr. Holland's Opus, where he comes into the room and he sees all of the people whose lives he touched. And I think that's the saddest thing for me, is that you never got that moment, but this is it. So Dorinda, I would like you to look around and look at all these 30 and 40-something faces and remember us like you do from when we were 14 and 15 and annoying as can be. Caught myself. And just understand that you helped with that too. Thank you for sharing the old man with us. And thank you, Chris. We're all better for it. You have my sympathy, condolences, and prayers. And I hope that during this, we're all going to laugh and tell our favorite funny Lasure stories. And if anybody wants to know mine, I'll be happy to share it, but not in a church.